right. Hello, everyone. We have a quorum. We have 3 of us here today, and I believe we have Lena's online. Okay. And President Rowley's online as well, correct? Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. It's good to see everyone. We had a retreat a week ago that was really good. It was good to see you there and good to see you again this week. So thank you for coming. All right. Adoption of the agenda. Do I have, okay.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did you hear from Lena on that vote or no?
That's what I was about to ask you. I just saw a message that she can't hear anything.
Okay. Okay, Lena, we're checking. Well, she can't hear me, so it doesn't matter. If you can, we're checking on it.
Jody, I have a question. So on, let's see, November 13th minutes, sorry, my internet is not on right now. For the November 13th minutes, there were some comments that were left out that we proposed changes be added as of the last work session. Do we need to move that into the...
I added the comment.
Okay.
Oh, you did?
They weren't in the copy we got for this packet. Yeah. Let me see.
So it was for the strategic plan, right?
Yep. Or no, the satisfaction survey. That might be the... Yes. So I think... Yeah, so there were just some, comments missing from the satisfaction survey results that we need to have added in.
They're in.
Where are they, though?
They're at the end.
Oh, at the very end.
Yes. Yes. I put my glasses on.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Let's see. Okay. Satisfaction survey.
While they're doing that and looking through that, are we getting Lena on?
All these were added.
Okay, so I think...
Okay, we could text her and tell her to...
He's
on Teams. I think he's messaging her on Teams.
Okay.
So that's how we got the message from her.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Member Quintana, what did you find?
So majority of the comments had been added. What was missing still was the request from the board to work on improving the satisfaction results for the employees.
Okay.
So I think that was the only comment that was missing from the minutes.
I'll add that.
Okay.
Approve it, or we can take it up.
Okay. So that's actually under the consent agenda. So we'll move to that next and then modify it.
Okay.
Thank you for pointing that out. Okay. So we're going to adopt the agenda based on the ayes and approval. And then moving to the approval of the consent agenda, the first thing was the governing board work session meeting minutes. So you'll add that, Audrey, and so we'll leave it under the consent agenda. There's a couple other things under the consent agenda. The policies, I don't believe we've reviewed policy 6.9, fundraising activities and acceptance donations. So
I think we did. And there were no change. Okay.
was there? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And did we approve, or did we go through all those policies then?
Mm-hmm.
I've slept since then, so I'm just trying to.
Laura did make changes if you want to pull them up facing them.
It feels like that one was a while ago, but it actually,
It does.
we did cover it.
Okay. Well, then, are we good with the consent agenda as is with the changes to the November 13th minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I am, no, hi,
Hi, Lena. Now you can hear us, huh?
Yeah, I had to log out, log in again. Yes, I have a question about the policies. There are first readings, aren't they?
Laura had
Are
asked
we?
since we've already gone through them, and you made some minor changes, which you did, so she asked if we could just put them on the consent agenda.
So Laura did.
Laura's online also if you want to talk to her.
None of the changes that we suggested
We,
have been added or changed.
we can pull them
So-
up. So which policy?
Almost all of them.
Okay, we can,
They're the exact ones we read in the work session, nothing changed. I can go over the changes, but they are not ready for a vote, I'm sorry.
Okay, Lena, we're pulling up some of the policies. And Laura is on the line. Laura, are we missing something?
I don't believe so. Let me double check. I went through the recording of the meeting on January 8th, and I made sure that I adjusted and highlighted any of the changes that were in the recording. So perhaps Member Gurman could point out what she's concerned about.
Okay.
I also have, I'm sure the policy owners are here and can help, but which policy is there an issue with, please?
Chair, excuse me, Chair Pugh, this is Becky. I think the one that we have questions about is the one on fundraising. And we did make changes to the one, the remote workplace and all of those. So there have been changes made to those since the first time the board saw them. And my understanding was that those are fine. But I do believe Board Member Gurman had some questions about the fundraising, and we've started seeking out the answers on those, and I agree that one is not ready to move ahead. We should wait on that one.
And the one about the remote work, like we had suggested that the 30 days needs to be for the equipment and for the termination of the work, and it still says
And
immediately.
that should be fixed. That should
Yeah.
be fixed.
So that was not, yeah, I mean, I can go over, so there's that one.
So I'm a little confused because in the highlighted policy for remote work 4-11, I actually highlighted that change under policy process F. Is that not showing on your version?
I'm
wording.
looking. It's
We
not
can see
showing.
it on the screen. Maybe it didn't show on the version.
All the ones I received with the agenda are exactly from December 16.
No, they are not. But in fact, they're dated 1/22/2025.
Yeah, the
So,
ones that were linked to the agenda are all first readings. That's maybe where the confusion is. I did not see the changed drafts.
Mason, is this the one you have showing? Is that one linked from the agenda?
That's the one Audrey provided me,
Because it shows, today's date, and there were no changes to policy 2-10. Hello?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Is this, I couldn't hear, Mason, is this linked from the agenda?
These are the ones Audrey provided us.
I'm wondering, do we want to spend a lot of time on this, or could we just make this our first reading and complete this next month? Is there anything immediate or necessary about addressing this in this meeting? Because it seems like there's a lot of confusion. We could go around and around for a while on this.
Agreed. Yeah, I guess I would ask, are there any that need to be approved right away? I guess President Rowley or
No,
Vice
there's
President
nothing
Peters,
There's
are you?
nothing that's a pressing concern with any of these. We can wait till next month easily.
Is Yash available? I thought he had a concern about presenting one, getting it finalized. Is he
Next month.
here?
Okay. Okay.
He
Let-
is here, he's saying it can wait until next month.
Okay.
Josh said, I couldn't hear that, I'm sorry. Is
Sorry.
everything okay? We can move everything to next month?
Yes, that's what it sounds like.
Yes. Sorry, maybe Vice President Peters' microphone is not working. Yes, Laura. Everybody said we could wait and move it to next month.
Okay, yeah, I see now that the links did not include, this is last month's
Okay.
presentation. So I did update everything, I presented, I did all the work.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it didn't make it.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It happens. It's a lot of paper to be moving around. So, all right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the policies, policy 2-10, policy 4-11, policy 4-17, policy 5-10, and policy 6.9. We're going to take those policies out of the consent agenda and move them to next month. And we'll straighten all this out in the meantime. So under the approval of the consent agenda, we'll have the governing board work session meeting minutes of November 13th, 2024, the regular governing board meeting minutes of December 4th, 2024, and then the financial reports from November and December 2024. So do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as with those changes?
So moved.
All
Second.
right, second? I'm going to say one of you guys is a second.
Second.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, all right. So we move those to next month. So we don't really have any items then. We could discuss them today, but I think we're okay with moving them to next month unless you guys, it sounds like it'll be easy to straighten out once we have all the paper in the right place. Yes. Okay. So then we have nothing on the non-consent agenda. So the next item, item 7, is information items. That's Allied Health Programs update. And Ms. Stewart. Is it live?
No, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Definitely.
Perfect. Good afternoon, Chair Pugh and members of the board. I thought I would essentially do the same thing I did last time. I submitted everything. Do you have questions? And then we can just dive into it that way unless there's something you want me to go over right now. And I'm happy to do it however you would like.
Okay. I think actually that would be fine. I think we've looked it over. I know I have questions. You added some information for us, which I really appreciate, but I'm not sure I understand then how that correlates with like the enrollment numbers. So I can go just right to one of the very first slides, community health worker. And so the cohort capacity is 16 each academic year. And then you have enrollment numbers. So I don't understand how the 16 each academic year then translates to like 36, 34, 29, 42, or 19, 28, 30, or 11. So could you explain that for me?
Absolutely. We have
Yeah.
more than one cohort. So we have a cohort that is hosted at Santa Fe Indian School. We have a cohort that's hosted at Raton High School. We have a cohort that's hosted here. And for community health worker, we have a home visitor program. So it is community health worker with an emphasis on home visiting. So we have 4 cohorts. That doesn't mean that every cohort has 16 students in it. So now, our high school programs are one entire year long. It takes them 2 semesters to complete, just because it's a lot of credits for a dual credit high school student. Our other cohorts can be done in 1 semester.
Okay, so when I'm seeing 36, that's more than 16.
That is the total of all the cohorts. Whatever was in those CHW cohorts, so that's Santa Fe Community College cohort, Raton High School cohort, Santa Fe Indian School and Home Visitor cohort.
So the 36 represents all those?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what's the 34 then?
Consecutive years.
Okay,
So that's
so
going
we're
back
looking
4
at
years.
24, 23, 22, 21.
I apologize.
Okay, and then home visitor enrollment numbers, what does that mean?
A home visitor cohort is a little special in and of itself. We have, ooh, this is getting into the weeds a little bit. So we have 2 home visitor cohorts depending on the availability of students. One is in English, one is in Spanish.
Okay,
So this semester, we're running our Spanish cohort. It's not every single year that we're able to run a Spanish cohort, and it's not every semester that we're able to run an English home visitor cohort. They tend to work with people in the community that already have this job, so they have full-time employment, they have a lot going on, and this is a 10 credit hour certificate. It's a pretty hefty certificate.
yeah, okay. So then the 19, the 28, the 30, and the 11 don't represent consecutive years prior?
They do, and the reason they're kind of all over the place is sometimes we have a Spanish cohort, sometimes we don't. Sometimes they're able to meet the minimums. We don't run it if we only have 2 students in the class.
Okay.
So,
Okay, that helped me. And then completion rate, 80 to 100%. That is of the enrollment numbers each year?
yep,
Okay.
each academic year.
Each
I didn't go through each semester or each cohort because it got a little crazy.
Yeah, it was a lot of numbers. I was like, what do all these numbers
And
mean?
I can flesh it all out for you. I tried to not go into too much depth. If you want more depth, I can absolutely put that together too.
Okay, I for sure wanted to understand the numbers because they're on each slide.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
from the very first one, I was like, So, okay, over to you guys.
So we don't need to get into the weeds, but are we trending towards moving from 80 towards 100, or is it just kind of, it changes every cohort?
You know, cohorts each have their own personality. And especially if you're looking at CHW, if you're dealing with full-time employees, sometimes they really can. They have the support of their employer, and sometimes they don't. They're doing it on their own. These tend to be people who are working minimum wage jobs, and they don't have a lot of flexibility in their schedule. So sometimes it's like, yes, we want our employees to be CHW certified, and they have that support, and sometimes they don't. It kind of depends on where the student's coming from. Now, we have incredible instructors who are so good at working with their students. It really is a lot of work. It's 10 credit hours. So that's a hefty load for anybody who may or may not be accustomed to that level of work.
Can you explain the differences in enrollment by the programs you're offering? So, or I guess at the location. So if we're looking at, we have a capacity for 16 in each of the cohorts. 36 are enrolling, so that's an average of 9 students per site. What does that look like as far as like Raton versus the SFCC cohort?
So Raton tends to be pretty small. It's not a large high school. Our Raton cohort never gets larger than 9, and that's large for them. They tend to be closer to 4 or 5. This kind of pathway is what they've identified for their high school students to immediately become employable, and they tend to work as either community health workers or phlebotomists while they're going to college.
Okay.
This is what the Raton cohort specifically does. Santa Fe Indian School students go back to their communities and work as community health workers within their communities. They actually do their clinical rotation in their home communities. So those tend to be smaller as well. They're not as large or robust. Our other cohorts tend to be larger, so they tend to be closer to 10 to 16. They're all individual.
Okay. And are these instructors, so I imagine at Raton and Santa Fe Indian School, those are qualified teachers at the high school locations, or are we hiring adjuncts or faculty to teach over there? How does
Santa
that work?
Fe Indian School has a certified community health worker who teaches this course. She's taught for us for years. She's taught all kinds of things for us. She is our instructor. She teaches on their campus. Raton High School, actually the director of the community health worker program, teaches, she does all the distance, and then she works with their high school counselor as well as their school nurse to fill in any blanks. So they manage clinical rotations, they manage getting homework turned in, they manage all of that type of stuff, where our director does the weekly lectures and all of that. She'll do that in a synchronous modality.
Okay, thank you.
All right, can we go to the next slide?
And did Dr. Gurman have any questions?
Oh, Dr. Gurman? I know Linda had questions, and so did Dr. Gurman, and I sent those to Audrey earlier. I was going to bring those up when we're at the end here.
I just didn't know on that one slide if she had.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, over to you.
Yeah, no, thank you. You have answered my questions in the slides. You put in the job completion, job placements, and for every major, so that's great, thank you. And I see a section on collaboration there at the end too, so thank you. She answered all the questions in the slides. And the only question on collaboration is there any collaboration with Presbyterian Hospital Clinic?
The question that I had received specifically about Christus and Presbyterian was specific to respiratory and nursing. Presbyterian, we do not utilize, Presbyterian in Santa Fe, we do not utilize for nursing. That is strictly because their units are not large enough to take one of our clinical groups, which is 8. Now, they do host respiratory therapy students, medical assisting students, EMSI students. So we do definitely work with Presbyterian, but not specific to nursing.
Is that, are you looking at establishing that in the future?
I would need to double my clinical budget in order to do that.
Why?
Presbyterian requires a in-person instructor wherever they have students. So for example, what we can do at Christus is have 8 students on a unit, and if that unit's not busy, we can do pullouts. So they can go to the OR, they can go to the infusion unit, they can go to different areas in the hospital, and an instructor doesn't need to go with them. So our 1-to-8 ratio can be maintained within the hospital. At Presbyterian, they do not like us or allow us to have our instructor leave their home unit with the 8 students. So if you have a student leave, they want an instructor with them, but you have 7 students back at the unit. It makes it really, really difficult. Presbyterian has a lot of requirements of any instructors, visiting instructors. Respiratory therapy, EMSI, anybody who utilizes Presbyterian has 1 student at a time. So it's much easier to have a proctor for them. And they're scheduled much differently.
Okay.
Is that because they have liability concerns?
Yes, sir.
Do you think it looked to me as though there was a bill in the legislature that might be looking to address that? Do you think that might change their attitude, or we'll see?
That would be, I would love it if it did.
Okay.
I've met with every single one of their CNOs since they've opened. Mm-hmm. I'm always open to creative ways of getting our students over there. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, next slide. Are we on the phlebotomy one? Yeah. So on this one, same question with enrollment and capacity. So capacity is 18 each fall and spring. Definitely understand in 2020, But then 24, 33, 28, what does that represent?
That represents the total cohorts for that, whether it's Raton High School or each fall or spring. We didn't start doing both fall and spring until last year. So it represents our cohorts, but it's the entire academic year. So each number is one academic year.
Okay, so 18 each fall and spring. We do it here in Raton. How many are here each fall and spring?
They've been averaging 9, 10 here.
9 or
Raton's much smaller. They're 5, 6, 7. They're much smaller.
Okay, so 9 or 10 per semester at FSCC.
SFCC.
Okay. Okay, and so out of those then, there's a 95 to 100% completion rate. But job placement, 42%? So not a demand? Or is that Raton?
I think there's a
Is that here?
demand, but I think there are a lot of students who go, I don't think I want to do this. You know, it's a one semester certificate. So it's, I think in and of its own, there's value in figuring out it's something you don't want to do.
So our cohorts are undersized and we're only placing 42. So that's like four, maybe 5 students a semester here
It
in
also
Santa Fe.
does not include any students that continue their education. So quite a few of our allied health students that start in a 1-semester program or a 2-semester program will go on to EMSI, they'll go on to do prerequisites for nursing. So it doesn't include the transfer. I would think of that as like a transfer or continuing on.
Do you track that?
We don't, well, my directors do. I don't specifically have those numbers, but yes.
That would be interesting to see who's continuing on. So what are we doing to recruit for this program?
So this program, honestly, what happens in this program is they tend to be our youngest students. We go out and recruit at all of our high schools, any of our high schools, at any of our clinical partners. They wait till the last possible moment to register. Jessica registered somebody this weekend for this week. So
Good.
she
That's
literally
good.
does. I think she's as responsive as she absolutely can be to get students in. Now, for these programs, they tend to have, most of them, have an application process. And that may scare some students off. She's so welcoming and so like, oh, let me walk you through. I can sit down and fill it out with you. But I think that can be a little scary for some students, especially if they're that young. She'll sit down, she has meetings with them, she has meetings with their parents, she helps them fill it out. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think the students who decide, hey, this wasn't for me, how much of that is they don't really want to be drawing blood, or how much of it is that the wages just aren't that good?
You know, I think it's a little bit of both. I think that is absolutely a very real concern. They can make this amount of money working at Target. And that, unless you are truly dedicated or interested in furthering your career in allied health, it's not something that is as attractive. Absolutely.
And are there pathways where some of the courses they took in phlebotomy apply to another certificate, or is it?
So you can, any of these, or a lot of these, can apply to the allied health AAS. I think this specifically is separate due to accreditation concerns. So the things they cover here has to be covered separately in medical assisting, has to be covered separately in EMSI and nursing, unfortunately. Yeah.
I have a follow-up question to that. So for those who do the AAS in allied health, what kind of employment opportunities exist for them?
So typically what they'll end up doing is more front office work. So if they're doing, so they'll end up doing maybe front office, making appointments, organizing the front office. If they take any of these other certificates, then that is something that they do as well on top of what they're doing. So it could be that they're doing patient education as a community health worker. It could be that they are doing phlebotomy or working as a medical assistant, working as billing and coding. That is something that is also covered in medical assisting. So it really kind of depends on how they put it together. Some come to us because they have a specific idea of where they want to work. So we had a student who came to us from Mora, and she was very clear where she wanted to work. That's where she did her clinical rotations, and that's where she's working now. It was she had a very clear pathway, but to your point, it may be that they come in and they're not sure, and they go, not for me.
And is an AAS required to do office work?
Not at all, but it tends to give them a pay bump.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions on that slide? Okay, next one. Medical assisting. Okay, I have the same questions, 14 each fall and spring, and then we have 12, 14, 13, and 38. These are only here at SFCC, correct?
They're only here at SFCC. 12, 14, 13 were when we were doing 2 semesters for a medical assisting certificate. Now it is a 1 semester certificate. So that was a significant change. We were the first program in the United States to be an accredited program that offers medical assisting in 1 semester.
And it's been very successful.
Very successful, yeah.
So are you full this year, semester?
Well, no. Christus started offering their own medical assisting program, and our numbers went down when they started doing that.
And what is Christus's program like?
Their program, it's not accredited right now. It's not necessary to be accredited in the state of New Mexico. And it is for their current associates, so it's anybody who's working at Christus and wants to upskill in some way, they can pay them to take class. So if they're upskilling somebody who was a custodian and they want to, move into the medical field, they're getting paid 40 hours a week to go to school. And that is very, very attractive. And I don't think that,
So what are you thinking for the future then for this program?
So for this program, I think one of the biggest things for this program, this is the only accreditor that allows us to pay students or for students to receive any type of monetary remuneration, any pay whenever they're doing their capstone. So anytime they're doing clinicals, they can get hired where they're doing their clinicals and get paid while they're doing their clinical time. None of our other accreditors allow for that. That is huge. So typically, I just need to look. I'm looking at our job placement. So 75% that's going to be because they're going to school or continuing school. Anybody or everybody who finishes this program has a job because they've been doing clinicals at a place where they've already been hired.
Okay, so 25% are continuing on.
They're continuing on, or moving. I mean, we have lots of students who are moving around and doing other things.
So this one also is 19 an hour, not much more than the phlebotomy. In fact, the exact same price.
It is not. Now, what
So
the numbers?
interesting, you have a better job placement, but the same wage.
So all of the wages we are using the college's information system for that. Is it Lightcast? Is that what it's called? That's where these numbers come from. So it's a range. You can start off around 17, and it's only because I just had this conversation with Jessica, around 17 up to about 23 an hour. I think it depends on where you work and what you're expected to do.
Okay. And so people coming out of this program pretty much are all 100% moving right into jobs. Okay. Okay, any other questions on this slide? Anyone? Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is actually, I sat in on one of those classes. It was really good. It was, okay, respiratory therapy. Let's look at this one. So capacity 12 each year. It's only here at SFCC, correct? Okay, and then 9, 8, 8, and 7. Are those the previous years?
Yes.
And job placement 57. What do you, yet 80% of the people seem to graduate. What do you think's going on there?
They are continuing their education. So respiratory therapy, it's been swinging back and forth. Accreditation tried to make it so that you had to have a bachelor's degree as an entry point for respiratory therapists. What they did is they grandfathered in programs with associate degrees. So they grandfathered in our program. You can take your licensure exams and become a respiratory therapist. And that is a national requirement. It's not anything that's different. It's the same in all 50 states. Quite a few of our students are looking for bachelor's programs to complete their degree. So there are 2 in Ohio that are very popular that students go to complete and to enter at a higher level. So that's continuing education. We have lately, I think post-COVID, COVID was a respiratory virus. COVID is a respiratory virus. It had a huge impact on respiratory therapists, which is having a huge impact on their students and on our ability to recruit and retain qualified instructors.
How is it impacting your ability to recruit? Do they have to have a certain level of training to come into the program?
They have a certain level of training, but really a certain level of experience. So if you're looking for somebody who has at least 2 years of experience, we're looking at our own graduates from 2 years ago. And that's who we're hiring. It's not that there are a lot of respiratory therapists in the field that have been there for a long time. There was a mass exodus after COVID.
Yeah.
So it's a slow rebuild.
So, go ahead.
Is it possible, just like you are able to track job placement, to actually track the students if they're going on to a 4-year degree?
Absolutely.
Okay, that would be great to know at some point.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have kind of a historical question. So I remember back in the day when this program was going to be done away with. And Christus came in and said, please don't do that. We really need respiratory therapists. My sense was that they helped fund some of the program.
Absolutely.
Is that still the case today? Are they helping to fund any portion of this?
No.
No. Okay. Thank you.
I misspoke. We are utilizing the very, very last of those funds. It's not like we've been receiving funds consistently, but there was still some funds available, and they are buying their own high-fidelity mannequin. So that should be getting here this semester.
Thank you.
And unfortunately, Christus was also hit hard. The director of their respiratory therapy department is one of our adjuncts, but they have very few other adjuncts available for us right now.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on respiratory therapy? Okay. All right. Next one. Dental assisting. Okay. Same kind of questions. Our cohort capacity is 18, yet our enrollment numbers, let's see, and it's only here at SFCC, so 12, 14, 14, 14, and 10. I guess this goes back even prior to, okay. So what's happening there?
Luna Community College just reopened their dental assisting program.
Oh,
That's exactly what happened.
how long ago was that?
2 years.
Okay, so for 2 years, but even prior to that, we weren't full, huh, to capacity?
This is also an entry-level position. So, and when I think about these allied health entry-level positions, it's an introduction to healthcare. This is an introduction to dentistry. So Omna has students who have gone on to get their bachelor's or master's and become dental hygienists, or they extend their skill set, but it's not something they can do here. It's not as attractive. There are a lot of people who don't look at it and go, oh, I could learn skills to become a dentist. And it's something that she's definitely very good about doing. The students that get here or get into her program, they also tend to be some of our youngest students. They really do.
I have a question about dental as a whole. And I don't know the education or the system very well for how these things are offered, but I'm curious about dental hygienists. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you have to get at like a bachelor's degree level? Okay.
Minimum of a bachelor's.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of right where PIMA and those folks are churning them out.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Do you have a question? Go for it.
Do you think, we have a new medical school or dental school opening in Albuquerque. Will that have a positive or negative impact on our enrollments, do you think?
I think it'll be positive. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, that is a private school. Mm-hmm. That is over $100,000 a year to attend. It is incredibly expensive for students who want to enroll in that school. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Amna, our director, is very, very, I think she's very, very involved in anything that happens in dentistry. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and 90% job placement and 90% completion. That's great.
It's amazing. She does a lot to support her students. Absolutely.
So who's hiring them?
Anybody and everybody. Every dentist in the world is looking for dental assistants.
So it's so weird that, with supply and demand, that we have that kind of demand, but our enrollment numbers are down. Are there other programs at other community colleges? Are we competing with someone?
CNM has a program. Luna Community College has a program. Pima has a program. I'm thinking of local.
Mm-hmm. Did we used to get the overflow from CNM in this area,
CNM's
and now we
numbers
don't?
are down. They actually have gotten to where they only admit once a year, and they used to admit twice a year. Mm-hmm. It's a trend that's happening across our region.
Interesting. Okay. Any other questions on that slide? All right, see what happens when you let us just look at the slides and ask questions. Okay. EFDA, the expanded function dental auxiliary. I think I've got this one. Job placement, 100%. That is way cool.
They're all currently employed. This is additional skills for dental assistants.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on that slide? Otherwise, we'll move to especially at 30 an hour.
So just to share something about EFTAs. So EFTAs in the state of New Mexico can practice without a dentist physically present. So they can do treatments that you would typically think that a dentist would be necessary to do. So they can do fillings, they can do all kinds of simple treatments. They do, it's like telehealth. They are absolutely work in concert with the dentist, but that's how a lot of rural clinics are able to fulfill dental care.
And that one seems like the cohort's been full.
That cohort is pretty consistent. So you have a bunch of dental assistants, and you have a bunch of dentists who go, hey, we have more work than we can absolutely complete. So yeah, this is a very successful program.
Okay. And then your next...
I have a question.
Oh,
yes.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't know how to.
It's okay, Lena. Over to you.
Sorry to interrupt you. So question, so when you have students coming in, interested in dental assistant, and can you like tell them like, okay, yeah, you can stop here and get $19 an hour, or you can continue on to get the expanded function dental auxiliary and get $30 an hour. Would that help in increasing enrollment in dental assistant program?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's not a secret. We definitely that is all included. That is all shared. It's not anything that, we're not holding anything back.
Is it a stepping stone or is it a different program to
It's
be in a dental expanded function dental
Stepping stone.
auxiliary?
It would be a stepping stone.
Okay, so they have to start there.
How
So-
long? Yeah.
So 12, so like, okay. So it needs to be 12 in the dental assistant and then continues on to be in the EFDA program, 12 and 12, no?
So now the EFTA program, something to consider, our EFTA program is one of the only ones in the New Mexico. So we have students from the entire state. Everything, all the didactic is offered online. They come 2 days a month to do their hands-on. So they're here Saturday and Sunday, once a month, to do all of their hands-on. And it's all day Saturday, all day Sunday. Mm-hmm. They come from the entire state. I don't know if we could have the numbers for that in order to, yeah.
Okay.
So it's not the same 12 people then?
No, not even, no. They actually have to have experience. There is a requirement for them to have a minimum amount of experience before they can move on.
Okay. Sorry, Lena, back to you.
Okay, so this program pays $30 an hour. It's the only one in the state, if I understand, or in the region. Why can't we expand, and it's at full capacity, why can't we expand this program?
I would need more faculty, qualified faculty.
Only on the weekend, right?
Oh,
Would
come on.
that be hard to find? Would that be hard to find, more faculty for this
So, yes.
program? So it's just like in the respiratory therapy, it's hard, and in nursing is hard, this is also hard to find faculty.
Yes.
What
Is
would-
it because, is it just regionally, we don't have enough qualified professionals to teach it, or is it we are not paying enough to attract them?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Any allied health professional, it's really difficult to attract. They have to be dedicated to education.
So, yeah, to teach this, do you need someone who's EFDA qualified? Do you need a full dentist license?
Not full
What do you
dentists.
need?
They tend to be, most of our instructors are full hygienists. At least, at a minimum. I think we have some foreign qualified dentists that teach in this program as well.
Okay.
Could they be the hygienists who are working full-time, but they can also teach in the evenings or on weekends? And we can kind of customize the program, that'd be a win-win for both the faculty and the students?
That's what we've been doing.
Okay.
We can try to do it a different way. We're always open. I think we're always open to different ideas.
Yeah, let's just seeing what works.
How long
And
is
this is one of the great programs. If it's at full capacity, pays well, 100% completion. I feel like we should focus on it more.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions on EFDA?
I'm curious how long it takes for people to complete this program.
This takes about a year.
Okay.
And
how many
tip-
credit hours?
Oh, I apologize. I don't know that off the.
So 1 year. Okay.
Yeah.
When you say a year, do you mean like a school year or a full?
An academic year, yeah.
Okay.
So it is, so when I'm thinking of an academic year, that includes the summer semester. I'm not thinking just spring and fall.
Okay, yeah, that's
It
what I
does
was.
include the summer, yeah.
And to get in this program, are there prerequisites? Do you have to do dental assisting first, and then this would be the next step?
You need to be a dental assistant to be qualified to take these classes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions on this slide? Okay, next slide. CDHC, This one is really interesting.
This is brand new, and we were requested by the New Mexico Dental Association to start this program. This was at the request of the New Mexico Dental Association. C&M used to host this program, and they let it go. This was something that when the Dental Association looked at dental assistants and upskilling their dental assistants, this was another thing that could be done. So this is one of those things. It's like taking community health worker into the dental clinic. So they're doing education, they're doing scheduling, they're doing all kinds of things for the dental clinic specific to dental care.
I have two follow-up questions to that. Do we know why CNM let it go? And are they, you said the dental board?
The New Mexico Dental Association.
And are they helping to fund any portion of the program?
So they have not funded the program. They have absolutely advertised for us within their own association, and they provided the curriculum. So it was a curriculum that they really wanted to be able to say, hey, this is something that we can offer. Anytime we've asked for their assistance, they have been more than willing to offer it. But this is for our program, we've taken it and catered it. So while they offered us their curriculum, we're using our community health worker curriculum. So they're going through all of our community health worker curriculum, and then they have the dental portion on top of it.
And then, sorry, the first question was, do we know why CNM let it go?
CNM initially received a grant, and I think they were hoping to get more pueblos involved, and they just didn't receive as much kind of collaboration as they were hoping for. And because we have such a strong EFTA program, this was something that we thought, it could be another piece for a dental assistant to upskill. So when you're thinking about a dental assistant making $19 an hour and a community health worker making closer to $30, I think it really does make a difference. How can we help that entry level stay and serve their community in a dental office and still earn more money?
Do you foresee a greater collaboration with the pueblos that CNM couldn't form?
I think that if we are looking at how we expand our community health workers. So right now, our community health worker with Santa Fe Indian School works very closely with the pueblos. So absolutely, there is an opportunity.
To potentially see those enrollment numbers go up.
I mean, it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
So we're in our third though, right?
So we're in our third, but I don't know that there's been as much. When people think of community health workers, they don't think of them in dental offices. So it's hard to make that shift.
Mm-hmm. So are we actively recruiting then?
Oh my gosh, always.
We have a lot of spaces.
We're always recruiting.
And who are you targeting? Who's your target audience?
So our target audience tends to be dental assistants because you want to go ahead and upskill somebody who has that. And now if there are graduates, then they've already taken a lot of the coursework that's necessary. We're putting in the community health worker piece. So we're targeting our own graduates.
Your EFDA graduates.
EFDA or dental assisting, both.
Okay, we need bigger numbers. So, okay, any questions, Lena, on this slide?
Yeah, so if we only have 3 or 2 students, do we have faculty just for those 2 students, or the faculty are teaching the other classes in the dental program?
It's an adjunct.
It's an adjunct.
So it's an
teaching 2
adjunct
students?
it's an adjunct who's teaching specific. Typically what happens is it is more of a preceptorship model, so it's an adjunct that's overseeing preceptor. If not, they're joining in other classes. So they're joining in our regular CHW classes, so it's already things that we are teaching. It is essentially one class that we've added as far as what we're paying for, as far as adjuncts.
Cost, yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to paramedicine. Let's see, enrollment numbers, so 16, so we haven't really made our cohort capacity for the last few years. I thought there was a lot of interest in this program. I was kind of surprised
There is
to
a lot of
see that, okay. So what's happened?
So our cohort is full right now. It was, so, and it was full the last, if you look to the right is the most recent, 18 is the most recent. I think,
Oh, 18 is the most recent.
Yeah.
I could have sworn you said it was the other way around. The most recent was 9, then 1 year back. I've been reading these backwards. Okay.
so
Anyways, go ahead.
essentially what's happened here in Santa Fe, oh goodness gracious, you guys are getting into politics now.
We
So-
want to know all.
Our program ran for about 1.5 years. That's about the length of it. And what they did is our faculty and our director worked to kind of shorten it. Now it's a 14-month program. The first portion of it is all online. The reason I preface it that way is because Santa Fe County Fire Department used to send all of their paramedics to us. They no longer do that because they can go to UNM in 9 months. UNM offers it to them Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Yep.
When we offer it, we're offering it 3 days a week. That works for our local fire, so Santa Fe City, Taos, Los Alamos. I'm trying to think if there's somebody else right now. We have a couple from AFR, so Albuquerque Fire and Rescue. We also have several from AAS, so Albuquerque Ambulance are sending some of their employees. Most of our cohorts are already employed. They are supported by their employer when they come. The 3-day-a-week allows for that, and it also allows for people who want to put themselves through paramedic school. So we do currently have 2 students that are going through our program that are not affiliated with any fire department. Their employer is not supporting them going through the program. So when Santa Fe County pulled out, that was a huge shift. What also happened is we lost our director. We have a new director. Our new director has really upped the skill level of our graduates. So I'll give you an example. He is including pre-hospital ultrasound. Now that is not something, that it is within a paramedic scope of practice. It is being practiced nationally. It is not being taught at any other program in New Mexico. Now let me tell you why this is important. One of our graduates, and he's a previous graduate, he works for Santa Fe City. He's also one of our adjuncts. He heard about it and said, I want to learn. Drew said, anybody who wants to learn how to use an ultrasound for pre-hospital treatment, come on down. And he has actually offered free training to anybody, county, city, anybody who wants it, he's offered it. So Garrett Grantham Phillips ran on a heart attack. I'm using all the lingo. I probably shouldn't be using lingo. So he responded to somebody having a heart attack. They couldn't feel a pulse. And when you're in that situation, you look at everybody participating and say, all right, do we want to call it? And Garrett, I love Garrett, says, let's check. I have my handy dandy ultrasound because he went out and bought his own. And he checked. And there was still cardiac movement. And they went, whoa, we can save this man. And they did. That was one patient in Santa Fe City. Drew has already graduated over 30 students who are out in our communities doing this. So he's doing things that are improving patient care, and in my mind, that's me. That's us. That's people in our community. That's my grandmother.
Yeah, but it only counts if the rigs carry those.
So actually, they are carrying them. Okay. Santa Fe City has started carrying them, and Santa Fe County will start. So our medical director is the same as Santa Fe City.
Is UNM teaching that as well?
No, ma'am.
So
UNM is
why would Santa Fe County put them on their rigs if they're not trained in that scope of practice?
because they are still coming for our training.
Okay, well,
For, not for our paramedic training, but for our ultrasound training.
okay.
Did I understand correctly that we're not, right, we're offering that training for free?
Yes, ma'am.
And then the other question I have is, you mentioned, so is Santa Fe County paying UNM now for their employees to do the 9-month program? Okay, so Santa Fe County took their money out of Santa Fe County and has now sent it to Bernalillo? Okay,
Yep.
How
Let
long
me-
does it take for ours?
14 months.
14 months.
14 months? Oh, okay.
Down from 1.5,
Down from 1.5.
1 year and a half. Yeah.
For someone from Santa Fe County Fire Department that enrolls at UNM, that's really a full-time job for them. They're not really working as firefighters then.
Not at all.
Okay.
And that has to do with their own staffing. It's their staffing initiatives and their staffing priorities. And that is not anything that we,
Is it the case that we're not, like our systems at Santa Fe Community College are not designed for you to become competitive with places like UNM when they're pulling local businesses? I'm curious about just what prevents us from being able to be competitive for an opportunity like that for members of our own community?
I think the biggest issue for us is when I sit down with Santa Fe County, they're like, is there a reason we have to stick to your schedule? And they said, oh, so you want me to offer classes Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 on your schedule and never give my faculty days off? Never give them, holidays? And essentially that's what they want. They want it 8 to 5, back to back, around their schedule. So typically what they'll do is they'll bring in a fire academy. They have somebody that will be going through the paramedic program, but also doing fire science as well. So they're teaching that, but they would expect us to go, oh, we need to be able to do this on this date and this date and this date. And we may or may not have that availability. Now, if I had more faculty than I know what to do with, sure. If I had that I could do that. They also were not sending as many. We do get a significant number from city, and we are getting more and more from Los Alamos. Yeah, we have a significant number from Los Alamos, and we're getting more and more from Albuquerque.
Is UNM doing, are they getting a degree when they're done? Or are they getting like
No.
workforce training, kind of like
It is a certificate, and it is non-transferable.
a certificate out of what
They're
part of
getting
UNM?
EMS
State
Academy.
Certificate. A paramedic state certificate.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're
Through
attending.
our Department of Health.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions here? Okay, so now you have me confused, so I've got to straighten it out. Enrollment numbers per cohort. Which one represents year 2024?
18.
So 2023 is 14, 2022 is 14, 2021 is 19. Or
It's 9.
what did I say?
And that's
9,
in the middle of COVID, so that was
9 is-
tough.
yeah.
That was really tough.
Okay,
I
so
have
so
a
that
comment.
convention that you're using right there, that's on every slide.
It should be.
Okay, so 2024 is always the furthest right number. Okay, I was reading backwards. Okay, Member Gurman, did you have a question?
Sharon?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me like we are at full capacity.
We are.
Right?
Currently, we are.
Even without changing to 9 months. So this is good. This is good news. I would like the story that you just told to somehow, with the permission of the patient and the family, that we can highlight it somehow and kind of show our competitive edge for the SAR program in the region. Is that possible? Has Has there been any of those
Good.
stories
Could
published?
just
in
omit
the news?
names and places, protect the innocent, just tell the story.
Well, they have to consent to it though, but.
You know, it would be
you're telling a
something
great
that have
story.
to talk to Santa Fe City Fire, because it really was one of their firefighters. I don't know, but I don't know that they'd have a problem with it.
Okay. Okay, cool. Good idea, if you can. Okay, it just highlights something we're doing that nobody else is doing, right? If you want it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the free program we're providing to the community.
Yeah, agreed.
I'd like, it needs to be advertised, and then we can take that story and go to our county commissioners and say, hey, this is what we're providing for you for free.
Yeah, that's always good. This is what you're getting for free. So, okay.
Santa Fe County money. Okay.
Any other questions on paramedicine? Then the next slide is EMT basic and intermediate. I think that's kind of looks like we're full up there, doing a good job. I do want to get to nursing and before we're done here. So yeah, moving to nursing assistant there, just to make sure I have that down. Cohort capacity, 10 per section per semester. How many sections do you end up having?
Depends on how many available faculty we have. 2 to 3.
2 to 3. So
Yeah.
okay, and so looking at enrollment numbers, then we had 41 students in 2024 and 67 in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And completion rate 80%. Do we know how many of these people are moving up, like nursing assistant to LPN to RN? Are they following that path?
So now this tends to be a longer path. It isn't something, so typically if you have a CNA who goes to become an LPN or goes to become an RN, it's several years down the road. It is not something that, oh, in a couple of semesters they went back to school. It really is something that it's several years down the road, 5, 10, 15. It's not, so no, I don't have those numbers.
Okay, and a nursing assistant, about $17 an hour. So you'd make more as a phlebotomist.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But you're obviously filling your cohorts.
Mm-hmm.
So why? Why this one? Why are they drawn to nursing assistant?
Nursing. I think they're interested in nursing, and it's a good way to kind of get a sense if that's something they would like to do.
And who hires most of these people?
Oh my goodness. So CNAs work at hospitals, they work at long-term care facilities, they work at nursing homes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're drawing people out of the nursing homes, they're getting CNAs and going back, I guess?
Typically, no. It's people who want to go to work at a nursing home. Usually, if they're working at a nursing home already, they can actually become a certified nursing assistant based on their work experience. They don't need education for that.
Okay.
So in order to sit for the CNA exam, it can be based on your work history.
Okay.
You don't need this class at all.
Yeah.
It's one class.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on this one?
Yeah, so the nursing assistant is a one class,
Yes.
one semester, one class?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. And they're not allowed to draw blood, is that why they're $17 an hour?
You know, if they do draw blood, it tends to be additional training they've either received from their facility or they've taken a phlebotomy course.
And if they've taken I can't say that word, phlebotomy course, does their salary go somewhere above $19 an hour?
You know, I think that is institution specific. It is not something, yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. All right. Just trying to figure out if we can encourage them to do both. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Drive up the numbers. No.
Yeah.
Any other
Drive
questions?
up the pay.
I have a question out of curiosity, because again, back in the day, I used to have a hard time getting students to want to actually graduate with this certificate. Is that still a problem for you?
To graduate.
So you used to be able to petition to graduate with this one course in, I think, CPR, and you would get a CNA certification from
Absolutely.
the college. But a lot of students wouldn't actually graduate, right? They finish the coursework, but they wouldn't petition to graduate.
Oh, no, our numbers for that. So completion is actually students who are awarded the certificate. So most definite. No, our numbers went way up. What they essentially did is this first or second week of class, so probably by this week, next week, they will declare a major. Once that's gone through the registrar's office, then they put in their petition to graduate. It's all part of the course. It's built into the course. So they are absolutely completing the class and getting their certificates.
And it sounds like, I mean, it seems like it's incentivizing them to continue on, right? So it's like these milestones that they're hitting along the way where they go from like CNA and then they're working toward the nursing program. Is that common? Do you see that a lot? Or is it more they're working toward medical assisting, or they're going to work and not continuing their education?
All of the above.
Okay.
So some will continue their education, some will go to work, some will stay at work for a while. I think that the CNA, and maybe it's because I've taught it, so maybe I have a different kind of ownership of it, but the CNA course, the way we're teaching it now, truly is an introduction to healthcare. And it's an introduction to truly taking care of another human being. What does that mean? What does it look like? It's not just bed baths. It really is, what does it mean to interact with a human being? What does it mean to really take care of them?
Yeah.
And taking our class, does it substantially improve your chances of passing the exam? As opposed to someone who's coming from a nursing home and gets to take it based on experience?
So our entire curriculum and our exams are based on their certification exams. So they have skills they have to meet, and absolutely, those skills are most definitely highlighted and reviewed repeatedly throughout the course.
Okay, LPN, and then an RN. So, okay, LPN. So, same question in this one. Your cohort capacity is 16, but in 2024, you had 12.
Yes, and that was the actual starting number. We've kept the 12 that we started with. So we just didn't have enough to fill the cohort. We've never had enough to fill the cohort.
Never?
Nope.
I thought you did the overflow from CNM on this. No? Is that in the nursing program or the RN program?
That would be
Nursing back in the day.
nursing
Back in the day. Got it. Back in the day. Okay.
Back
All
in the
right.
good enrollment days.
Okay. And then completion rate, 65%. And then how many people are, so 100% hired who complete? How does that work?
If they complete and take their test and pass their test, they are not taking it.
And only 65% are taking the test, or 65% are getting through your class?
Getting through the courses. It is a
And then out of
dual-
that, there's even less that take the test.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we more than 50%? What's this look like?
This is a dual enrollment course, or a certificate, entirely dual enrollment. When you're thinking about the responsibility of being a nurse, a licensed practical nurse, a registered nurse, you're taking a high schooler and getting them ready to become an LPN. I'm not sure that our high schoolers are ready for it, honestly.
So everybody in here is dual enrollment?
Yes, ma'am. They are all from Capitol High School.
Okay, so 8 of them make it out, maybe, into an LPN? Maybe?
Maybe.
Okay.
I could be misremembering. Is this a state priority, right? Like funding came specifically
The
from,
state
how did this come
definitely
to be?
would like this to be kind of a feeder for
Right.
registered nurses. I haven't seen that happen with ours, but it's only been 3 cohorts, so it's hard to get that sense of it. And typically what happens with LPN programs, and I'm going to refer to the CEC in Albuquerque because they are the longest running high school LPN program in the state. They've been running for over 40 years. 50% attrition at their program. They've been running for 40 years. Now, their students tend not to go right into nursing school. They tend to work and return to school later, 5, 10, 15 years later.
So my understanding, so I see the low NCLEX pass rate, and we're on warning with the New Mexico Board of Nursing. So what are we doing to improve those pass rates so that we are no longer on warning status?
So essentially, our current cohort needs to complete and take their NCLEX PN, so the NCLEX for a practical nurse.
But
That would be what would get us off of warning.
for them to take the exam.
So to
So they could fail the exam, they just need to take the exam.
need to take the exam and pass,
So
absolutely.
they have to pass it. So what are we doing to prepare them to take the exam? Sorry, that was my question.
So things that we've been doing is NCLEX prep courses, NCLEX support, NCLEX study groups, all of those things that are things that we've been doing. So it's going to be more of the same, but with additional faculty support as well as the support of the director.
Are they required, right? So these high school kids, it's a lot easier to require them to do things. So I'm curious, are they required by their high schools to do any of this? Or, I mean, I guess what help are you getting from the high schools to make sure that there's making sure that the students are taking advantage of those additional resources as opposed to just leaving it up to the student?
So we have a really close relationship with the medical careers pathway at Capitol High School. Their lead instructor is Reed Burgess, and he is a huge support. So he physically sees the students every single day. He absolutely is the one that checks in on them. Hey, have you done this? Have you turned this in? Have you studied for this? So absolutely, yes. That engagement is there. It is happening. And we have moved this program onto our campus as opposed to just being at Capitol High School. It is a dual credit program in collaboration with Capitol High School, but it is on our campus. So that was another big piece for us.
Okay.
So why are they not taking the test?
That is an excellent question, Lena. I wish I knew the answer.
I mean, if they have a coordinator who seems to be on top of it with them, why, is it money? I mean, is there a big fee to pay for the test?
So the fee overall to sit for the NCLEX is around $400. We have funding to help support that. It literally is holding them to a plan and sticking to it. And that is one of our biggest challenges.
And that plan is after they graduate high school or while they're in high school?
So this is after they've graduated high school. They complete this in their senior year of high school.
Okay. And
Okay.
then they have to have a plan that includes taking the test.
Yes.
Do you think that there are just students who are completing the program who've just decided their academic career lies elsewhere, that they want to go study engineering instead, and they were high achievers in high school and they just decided, hey, I could do something even cooler?
Definitely.
Pre-med maybe.
Yeah,
Some are pre-med, some want to go to medical school, some wanted to join the military. We've had students, there's a whole wide range.
Okay, just in the interest of time, can we move on to nursing? Because I think a lot of our same questions apply here.
That pass rate is great.
Yeah, this is, looks good. And so here, now I'm confused by the 24 that says spring 2025. So the 24 is for this spring, that's the current year you have up there, and then 26 would be what you had in fall of 20?
That would be the entire academic year for 24, so that would be fall and spring.
Okay. All right, any questions on this one?
Looks like full capacity.
This semester, yes. And it is really exciting.
Yay.
Good job.
Yes.
Good job.
And,
We're doing an amazing job.
and you run 4 cohorts at a time, huh?
Well,
2,
it's 4 semesters long, so at any one time, we have 4 cohorts running through, so level 1, level 2, level
Got it.
3,
Okay.
level 4, yeah.
and then I just pulled up some questions that Linda had, if you guys are okay. So Linda asked, what is our collaboration with St. Vincent's and Presbyteria for nursing and respiratory? I think you have answered that one.
So for nursing, our first 3 semesters are entirely at Christus.
Okay,
So Christus absolutely is involved in everything we do. Our advisory committees, they recruit, they feed our students. We take our students to the hospital not just for clinical.
Okay.
Very, very involved.
and then do we know where the nursing and respiratory students go to work after graduation? So you've answered most of the other ones, but with nursing, where do you think they go?
They go where they had the best clinical experience. So sometimes it's based on where they live, and sometimes it's based on being at a level 1 trauma center, which is UNM. So UNM is a very attractive place for a lot of people. The VA is a very attractive place for a lot of people because of the opportunity to possibly transfer across the United States. So I think it really depends on their own personal needs as far as employment. We have a large majority of our graduates go to Christus, over 60% easily. There is not a unit in that hospital that does not have one of our graduates in it, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is. And then she asked about the endowment, but you addressed that with your last line, saying we're not currently utilizing the nursing
We're
endowment.
waiting for that to mature.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions from the board members? Zuby?
I'm just looking at all the broader perspective. I mean, there is a shortage of healthcare workers in New Mexico. If we were to look towards expansion, do you think we could realistically bring in the numbers and increase enrollment so that we can begin? I mean, we were hearing last year that the hospital was upset because we're not providing enough nurses for them. Is that something that we can do something about? Is it a role that Christus has to play in it? What would it take for us to be able to expand, to be able to really provide what the state and the city need?
So I don't know that we'll ever meet the need currently. I do believe we truly need additional faculty members in order to provide, if we're going to really grow or expand our programs. Now, there's kind of a sweet spot. You have all of these programs, you want them to get bigger. Where are you going to send all those students for clinical? Right now, at 24, awesome. 32, it gets a little crowded, but we can do it. We've done it in the past. If you get up to 40 a cohort, you're getting pretty crowded. So those are things where you have to become a little more creative, and we can. It's just, I don't know that we could get any larger than 40, and I'm speaking specifically about nursing right now. And even at that, our simulation space, our lab space, all of that would be really stretched. So we had all 24 of our brand new level 1 nursing students in our lab for their first day yesterday, and they were crammed in there. Oh my goodness, were they crammed in there. So those are things to truly consider. At what point do we really start looking at additional classrooms and saying, okay, do we convert this classroom? What does that look like? And I think up to 32, we don't need to change any kind of physical space here on campus, but beyond 32, then it becomes a much larger than just additional faculty.
I would think if we think we can bring the students in and we think that the clinical space is available, I think expanding, we have a lot of space that we're not totally using right now. So I think the opportunity for expansion, and I think the funding opportunities for expansion would be there if we believe that we can do the recruitment and bring the students along.
So I honestly believe that recruitment, and we're doing this, needs to start younger, middle school. Absolutely. At the that's like the latest. I really think that we need to be recruiting younger and younger and providing a pipeline. So something separate is to think about what prerequisites students need to take that they could take in high school. You know, what math classes, what science classes, what other classes are available that they could take in high school as prereqs to these programs, all of these programs.
Right. Yeah, that's a good.
And those are things that we are currently working on. So when I'm thinking pipeline, I'm also thinking like, how are we preparing this pipeline? What are we doing to prepare them? Not just recruiting them, but how can we help get them ready to come into our programs?
Right. Good idea. Any other questions?
There's a
I
community.
have a question.
Member Gurman?
Is there any dual programs happening with the master's school in the allied health?
Not currently, no. And now it is something that they are looking at, but right now what the master's program is focusing on are dual credit courses, not necessarily dual credit programs. So they have been developing their own pathways, and we are definitely working with them on that.
Yeah, I see an opportunity there. I mean, if we were able to bring the Capitol High School students to campus.
Oh,
They're
absolutely.
already here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we might pick up 2 or 3 students who could take one of the allied health programs.
All right.
I did visit with some folks at the last conference in Arizona who have a dual credit cohort model starting in middle school that looked very successful. So,
Absolutely, yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you. This is the kind of in-depth look. I think we've been sending questions your way, and so thank you for letting us scratch our itch and understand your programs and answering all our questions. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. We didn't talk about massage therapy, but they're doing great, just FYI.
Okay.
They're doing really
I know nursing was the big one
I know.
but
I keep thinking there's quite a few programs out there, and feel free, any additional questions, please reach out. Please use your SFCC email.
well, yes, we'll take that under consideration. Noted.
It can be helped.
So,
Thank you.
all right, thank you very much. Thank you all for indulging us while we work through that. We've had some questions for a while, so it was very nice of Ms. Stewart to answer them all for us. Okay, moving on to section 8, communications, faculty senate report. Do we have Dr. S.J. Miller on the line?
Yes, I am here.
Ah, hello, how are you?
Can you hear me? Hi, everybody. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Notes.
Over to you.
All right. I'm unable to see everybody, so if I inadvertently miss somebody, my apologies. One quick second.
Well, you're not missing us too much. It is cold here. I have my down jacket on.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Chair Pugh, President Rowley, Member German, Member Wilson, Member Siegel, Member Quintana, and President Archuleta. And again, I can't see if I missed anybody, so I'm so sorry. Give me one quick second. I have very few notes to add. I do want to say something about Terry's work. As somebody that, goes to hospitals and dentist offices, and just like all of us, I always ask where their training is, and I have like the biggest grin on my face whenever they say SFCC. There's just this enormous pride, and Terry, your programs are just unbelievable. So thank you for all you do for all of us, for our healthcare system.
Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we had convocation, as everybody knows, past 1.5 weeks, and our faculty senate meeting had about 60-ish members come. It was a really nice, robust meeting. We met for an hour. Very little to report on because it was mostly an open forum. We have met our secretarial duties with Kristen Leavig and Tony Kaufman. Joseph Clemens had to step down, so they will be sharing those responsibilities. And Kristen is also an adjunct rep, so it was nice of her to step up. We talked a little bit about the background of Title IX and the changes that weren't going to happen with our campus, but I provided some context about how Title IX has changed over time. I've reached out to Chris Gettler and Margaret Peters because I want to make sure that I'm aware of how our campus is addressing Title IX so that we can make sure to bring all of that back to the Senate, as there were lots of questions about that. So I'm looking forward to that meeting. And lastly, Senate is just eager to hear back about the Bolton updates. We haven't heard about that yet. I know that it's coming up. It's coming up soon. Senate also, I announced in Senate that we were hosting the library and PDAC, and some people in Senate worked very hard to have a presentation about what's happening around our undocumented students and families and staff and faculty at SFCC. And we were able to bring in 2 lawyers from the Santa Fe Dreamers Project, Deshonda Chaparro, who's a legal director, and Jessica Aguirre, who is a staff attorney. We have a wonderful PowerPoint from that presentation. I would say it was really, really well attended. And the description was to provide us about what's happening in New Mexico and to really provide resources for faculty, staff, students, friends, families, and allies. They went through a number of different points about the ways that the Dreamers Project can help with immigration status. It was very robust. And then they also showed us 2 different warrants, or 1 warrant that if ICE were to come to campus, how we would, first of all, always send everybody to security. But they showed us the differences in the warrants, and that was really interesting for many of us. If ICE comes to campus and they have a warrant and they are going to walk on and try to detain somebody, it has to be a signed warrant. ICE also has other warrants that aren't signed. And so it was helpful for everybody to, for the most part, I think, to see the differences in the warrants. We hope to bring back the Dreamers Project. We also, Santa Fe Dreamers Project, and we also hope to have a couple more series where we offer more tools, language, ideas for people. This was posted in the Santa Fe Community College Campus Weekly, and so you'll see some of the resources that the Dreamers Project brought to us. So with that, I stand for any questions. Oh, the other thing, which I'm sure Michelle will report on, we did have our joint faculty and staff meeting right after our faculty senate meeting, and Leah Goldstein came from the Wellness Center and addressed issues around mental health and wellness and ways to support our students this semester, especially because we know that students are bringing a different level of vulnerability to campus right now. With that, I stand for any questions or comments.
All right. Thank you very much. Any questions for Dr. S.J. Miller?
I have, go ahead, Lena.
Hi. I just lost the screen. I'm looking. So I was interested to see that the Generative AI Committee is working with Melanie Moses and Melanie Mitchell. They're excellent in this field locally. And the question I have, it says here the percentage of AI policies selected in course syllabi are posted in the chat. So I'm actually interested in seeing those percentages. I know that the faculty have a choice of 5 different policies on AI uses, and I'd love to see the percentages of those policies, how they're being picked and used by faculty.
When you say the
Let me-
percentage,
Yeah, let me rephrase. So
Okay.
as far as I understand, the faculty can choose 1 out of 5 levels of AI usage. That's the AI policy that's set at the college level.
I
here.
believe it's 3 in a simple
La-
syllabus.
Yeah, last time I counted 5.
No, I think it's 5,
Um,
SJ.
They're 5.
Yeah,
So
it's 5.
would be
Oh,
nice-
okay. All right. Thank you.
Would be nice to see like how many, like the percentage of courses using each one of these policies. Like how many classes are using level 1, level 0?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So,
Yeah,
Okay.
Board Member
That,
Gurman, we are,
that would be, I'm sorry, someone else was speaking.
sorry,
Go
SJ,
ahead.
this is Margaret. Board Member
Oh, hi,
Gurman,
Margaret.
we are able to pull that information. I don't have that with me today. I don't have it off the top of my head, but the way that the simple syllabus is organized, and we've done this on purpose so that we can pull that information. So we could definitely get that information.
yeah, I'm assuming that's what he meant by percentage. That's what you meant by percentages of AI policies selected in course syllabi are posted into the chat. That's in your report, and I was just like curious to see that. So I'm assuming it's the same. We're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, I think Margaret has the best answer to that. I do know some people are putting in their own verbiage as well, and that's interesting to see how people are using it in their courses.
That's one of the 5 options to write your own AI policy for your class.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see that, especially that I've noticed at least in a couple of classes that I was taking last semester that they were not picking any of the 5. And they encouraged the faculty to pick one of the 5.
Oh.
Yes, and it's been a brand new addition to the simple syllabus, and so I think we've had a little bit of a learning curve to get folks to make that selection and understand the way to do that in the simple syllabus template.
So Margaret, you'll be able to get that to Member Garman?
Yes, I can certainly put that information
thank you.
together.
To the
Awesome,
board.
thank you.
Thank you.
The board.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Dr. Miller?
When it comes to AI uses in class, I was just wondering, Dr. Miller, is there a way that faculty can better educate students on how to properly use AI? Because I know the library had last semester, they were putting on different classes, but I think it would be beneficial if our faculty could better help the student body understand how, if they're allowed to utilize it, how they can, where it's not, keeping them away from plagiarism, but using it as a resource.
Yeah, you know what? That is a wonderful question, and I would say yes, people are absolutely doing it, but it might be really interesting if the AI committee came and did a presentation to the board and shared with you some of the ways that they're utilizing it. There have been many sessions on campus. We've had great conversations, and they're ongoing. So if you're interested, let me know, and I will get in touch with that group and have some of the people come do some presentations.
Yeah,
I would love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you like to get it on to the board meeting? What's the next governing board meeting?
So,
My intention is to see that the faculty are choosing a policy that allows students to use AI to a certain extent and not choosing the 0 level, which is like, don't use any AI, because we would be fooling ourselves. So I'd love a presentation to see where we are on that. Maybe it's too early, maybe we need to wait another semester, but I would love a follow-up on that.
And that may be the case, Board Member Gurman, but we can definitely pull some information. And President Archuleta, I appreciate your input on this. I think that we you know, what we're working on is having more professional development for folks around AI. And I agree that the more that we can incorporate that into our classrooms so that students have experience with it and understand it better as they move through their programs and beyond the college, that's important. It's critical.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, and
thank
you
you.
know, everybody brings such different skills. I mean, Yash, Dr. Marimoto, he showed us how people were using it as podcasts so that we were able to integrate it. So, you know, we have everybody on campus is learning different strategies all the time, and people are sharing them with everybody.
Yeah, it's definitely an emerging technology. So those sound like great ideas, and
Okay.
we'll work with Audrey to get it on the next. So she'll reach out
Okay, thank
for
you.
the next one. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, next person, Staff Senate report, Mr. Gutierrez. Over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe that Ms. Co-Chair Renteria is online, I think, also. She's going to join.
Is she? Okay.
So hopefully she'll be there also. So,
Oh, there you go.
yes, she's here with us. So, good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Vice President Peters. Thank you for the opportunity to present on behalf of Staff Senate. Real quick, I'm gonna make this pretty quick. I know that you received 3 Staff Senate meeting minutes from the end of last semester. From these minutes, all business concerns have been addressed and are in the process of being addressed. So a lot of it, as you see, if you see from one meeting minute and you see the next one, they've been addressed and stuff. So that's great to hear. Our Staff Senate meeting minutes from our Staff Senate convocation meeting are still being vetted. They have up until this Friday. So they're being vetted for any additions or corrections and will be sent to you at our next governing board meeting. So you'll have those updates. And there's really not any new updates, as our next Staff Senate meeting for this semester is scheduled for this Friday. And we look forward to another productive semester for our staff and students. Attendance of staff at Staff Senate meetings continues to grow, and we will continue to use our solution-based approach to all issues of concern that staff may want to address. So, and with that, I don't know if Michelle wants to add anything.
No, thank you, Robert. I'm struggling with a head cold, so thank you.
So, and with that, I stand for any questions.
All right, well, thank you. And I agree with you. It was nice to see. Sometimes you don't get them all in succession, right? So it was nice to see things in that order. Any questions from the board?
I'm curious, in your meetings now, are they primarily online, or are they in person? Are they hyperflex? I mean, or is it just primarily online now?
So, Madam Chair, Board Member Wilson, so what we've, and this is something that you'll see on the next one, we're going to try like a high flex. We've been doing mostly online, and I don't know if Michelle, I know she can't speak right now because she's not feeling well, but we are looking into the possibility of having more of a high flex way of doing things. So that is something that we're looking at.
I can add.
Yes.
Only because it was so awesome to see all of our colleagues who are primarily on campus because of their work. We had a full classroom of individuals who are very interested in participating, and whether we have a high-flex classroom or if they could just participate on their phone wherever they're at on campus was a request that their supervisor had made, that they can actually use that time to be wherever they're at on campus to participate on their phone. So we're really excited to include those staff members that we actually have not really been doing a good job of including. So it was such a nice thing to see them all turn up during convocation.
Yeah, you have good participation. All right.
I have a question, Chair
Okay.
Pugh. I'm curious if you have received a response to your all's question about, let's see, it was reiterated that should cost of labor not adequately reflect cost of living in Santa Fe, it could result in, right. So there's still this question out there and this confusion about whether or not cost of living is included in cost of labor. or cost of labor. So I want to understand, and maybe this isn't for you to answer, Robert, but if you can. And again, I'm going to look at like Yash and Donna also, like, is there a way for us to get some sort of clear communication out to people on this campus?
They did address this.
Okay.
They came to Staff Senate, and Director Donna Castro did come and speak to it directly, and I think she gave some really good examples of that. So as you see, if you look through the meeting minutes, she did at the last meeting at the end of the semester, she did come and present and give an explanation of the two differences between the cost of living and cost of labor.
Okay.
And it seemed like, it took up most of the meeting because people had a lot of questions, and we were very grateful for Donna to stay there and answer those questions. And I believe she answered them really well.
Thank you, Donna. Yeah, I just want to make sure that people feel like that question is being answered because it keeps coming up.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure. All right. Student government report. Ms. Archuleta, over to you.
All right, Chair Bew, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm going to be just doing an overview of the things that we, student government, accomplished last semester and going to our goals for this semester.
Perfect.
So first, the SGA team has had a tall and large learning curve during the fall semester. We have learned many things about the inner workings of campus life, including the needs of students on campus, as well as, just what it means to be the bridge between the student body and administration. We've learned a lot, and we've also learned a lot about ourselves and each other. We hope to have a great semester this year, and not only serving the student body, but also preparing the next SGA team as our successors. So fall of 2024, our biggest highlights were SGA recruitment campaign. Secretary Archuleta made hand-drawn flyers of the executive team that we posted all across campus. This was an attempt to recruit senators. That was the initial intent, but I think more than anything, what it did was let the student body know, be more aware of student government's presence on campus. Well, not even just the student body, but faculty and staff alike. There's a lot of times when I was walking around campus, and I even had teachers who, I was in his class every day, but the moment I put on, he saw me. I think it was for an event that we were putting on that day. He saw me in the SGA polo, and that's when he recognized me. He's like, "Are you on those posters there in the art school?" So I was like, "Yeah, that was me." And then there were multiple times when my colleagues were doing outreach and they were passing out those little flyers during my classes, and my classmates got a bunch of little mini posters of me. So that was always kind of funny. Going into the snack cart outreach, over the previous semester, SGA's cart outreach reached a couple thousand students on campus. We hope to be as successful this semester. Just to remind you all, the cart outreach was when student government took a little cart filled with snacks and school supplies usually, as well as flyers and information about what's going on campus. And we were taking those to different classes at multiple times a day, 5 days a week. Another thing we made sure to do last semester was create relationships with the clubs. I think we especially wanted to make our presence known to them, as we realized that they've always come to student government for funding, and we wanted to make sure that they knew all the different things that student government was here to support them on, as they are an integral part of student life here at the school. We also did collaboration with the Ambassadors and Wellness Center. Now, student government usually does collaborate with the ambassadors when it comes to events and outreach, but for last semester we put on the Dia de los Muertos celebration in November, that we involved the Wellness Center in, and that was a tremendous success amongst the student body. And we cannot wait to collaborate once again with the Wellness Center and try to reach other departments. We also increased student attendance at these activities on campus. So before the outreach that we were doing, once again, we were constantly giving out flyers for the upcoming events and things. And that brought students, that brought students in by 50%, increased by over 50% to these activities. We have this number because Treasurer Figueredo created a database with a scanner gun that we were able to scan A numbers, and then we were able to track the difference between staff and students at these events. And that was, I would love it, considering that these events that we put on are for students. My goal this semester would be to bump those numbers up even more. It'd be 70% students attending. We also, last semester in October, at the end of October, we went to the ASGA conference. This was very informative onto how to advocate for the student body and teaching us that we are much more than the activities that we put on. Along with this, I'm meeting with other student governments to see how other governments run at their institutions was very, very helpful. And it was fun even just bouncing ideas off of each other. I know I'll get into this later in the report, but some other schools were talking about how they have the exact same kind of land acknowledgement in their syllabuses. And their student governments were looking at how they can bring that land acknowledgement and make it something more. And I told them that the ideas that we've had here at SFCC, and they were extremely excited to be able to take that back to their schools. There was a collaboration on a student-led documentary. So Vice President Archuleta and Secretary Archuleta met with Dean Wysong last semester to discuss a student-led documentary highlighting the diverse age ranges of students and cultures that make campus unique and amazing to be a part of here at SFCC. The decision was made that they will be starting with the art school. Vice President Archuleta and Secretary Archuleta met with Milton Reese, thank you, the chair of the film department, and Shane Tolbert from the art department about this project. Milton Reese believes the documentary can be created utilizing the PLAS program so that students can create the film. It's looking like this semester we'll be able to start that filming. So this was something that Vice President Archuleta, this was an idea he had coming into student government. And it's really exciting to see how quickly we were able to get the ball rolling on that one. Once again, so that'll be, again, student government will be leading it, and then student workers will be doing all the filming. So it's all very exciting. It'll be about student life here on campus. Collaboration with PDAC and TMP in the hanging of the indigenous flags. So once again, can't remember what board meeting it was, but one of those board meetings I had mentioned to Dr. Miller about hanging the indigenous flags up in the, what is it called, auditorium?
Atrium.
Yes. And so PDAC took that idea, and they've talked to the president about it, and so far everyone's on board. This semester we're planning to meet with the TMP ambassadors to see, to make sure that we got the green light with them, and then looks like it'll probably be happening. So that's exciting, and even that idea has sparked a lot of joy. I've noticed in the indigenous population here on campus, I've had people offering, having different ideas and how we can make this a celebration when the time comes to hang the flags up, bringing in different drummers and things. So it's definitely sparked some excitement amongst the community here at the school. Collaboration with the advisors and Todd Lovato on transportation. So I had mentioned that there were students who on campus who transportation is an issue for students, being that we're in the county and there's no direct bus that brings us here. So, and then it was advised the student government started a questionnaire. So I talked to Melba Ramos, and we had discussed that student government was going to create an informal questionnaire that the advisors would be able to help us getting that data of how many students are in need of these in transportation. So hopefully we can, the advisors will be able to help us out with getting all that data, as we are a very small team, especially right now.
Yeah, we might have some. Yash might be a good resource for you on that in the future. So
thank you. And Todd Lovato, I talked to him about it, and he was the one who really, because at first we were thinking about a survey, and he explained to me better that survey probably wasn't the best way to go, but an informal questionnaire would probably get us the data better at a much faster pace. He also had informed us that there is a program here in Santa Fe that does provide free transportation as long as you're starting here in the city or the county. The only thing is that it's limited to 6 rides a year, which obviously isn't sustainable if you're relying on that to come to college every day. So we're hoping to see if we're talking to a manager to see if we can make an exception for college students here, so that we at least have that resource. The outline for the substance abuse program. So Secretary Archuleta worked with a former ambassador in creating a substance prevention artwork. The SGA team also collaborated on the outline for SFCC-wide substance prevention program with SGA as the face of the program. So this program, again, we're a bit of a small team, so if we could, we're hoping that we can see if we can get with the wellness center to see if they would be able to do most of the pushing of this program. As long as, we're always happy to spread the information, but the program is built, it's created, it's just that student government does not have the means to really put it into action right now, but we are hoping to at least pass it on to somebody who does. So, and some additional activities that we did last semester was Vice President Archuleta wrote an article for the Campus Weekly about the Beggars Banquet, a student and faculty collaboration, and was invited to contribute more articles in the future. This was coinciding with the idea of the documentary kind of advertising the art program. And the wonderful students that make it so special. He also wrote and recorded a speech for the Veterans Day ceremony. That went over well. So our goals this semester are participate in a leadership program. Now, last semester, SGA and the ambassadors were consulted and informed about plans for a structured leadership program through the continuing education. Through feedback from SGA and the ambassadors, the program will be tailored towards leadership opportunities available to ambassadors and SGA. So students would earn a leadership, like a digital badge upon completion that we can put in our resumes, for example. As well as, so I can't say her last name, but Christy Balzerini, thank you. At the continuing education stated grants and funding were approved for students to receive this training. So there's funding for it. It is not clear why the program has been stalled, but this leadership training, I think, student government believes is vital to our success here on campus, not just for our current team, but I think that it should be something that is implemented into the ambassadors and student government programs going forward, especially when there is funding and there is a program that's already created. We just need to be plugged right into it. Recruit. Next goal is to recruit and prepare the next SGA team. So during our work, we realized a campus-wide campaign in recruiting students, clubs, and faculty and administration is needed. I think one of the biggest surprises that we found last semester was that not only was the student body unaware of, well, student government's existence or what we do, but we had a lot of faculty and staff who also did not quite understand what student government can do. So this was something we already started again last semester, but we hope to continue to educate the community here at the college on what exactly it is student government does and how we can help them. I think, so one thing that we were presented with was the membership to ASGA, which could also help with training for student government. They also would also help with consulting and 2-day visits to the campus to assist student government. So this could be another alternative to more training specifically tailored to student government, as we are required to have a certain amount of training days on campus throughout the school year. So this could be one of them. And this could help. Unfortunately, at the end of fall semester, Treasurer Figueredo and Secretary Archuleta did resign. So we are looking for a new secretary and treasurer, as well as senators. Senators are always welcome. So we are hoping to, by the end of this semester, be back to a full executive team and hopefully have some more senators as well. We plan to, again, keep pushing forward with the informal questionnaire with the advisors and continue with collaboration on the art film department and getting those flags up. I'd really love to see that through before my term is over. And we hope to continue to expand our CART outreach, the SGA CART outreach, as that was our biggest success last semester, and that was really what helped us get as much information out as possible to the student body. Unfortunately, this program was suspended at the end of November due to lack of clarity over our budget. Up to this point, student government does not have a proposed budget, nor do we know what we are allowed to spend money on, but we hope to get that all situated soon so that we can continue working. So that concludes my report. I now stand for any questions.
All right. Well, first off, I'd like to thank you and all your officers and former officers. You guys have so much energy, and your enthusiasm is contagious. I will tell you, the board has loved the CART idea. We've loved, and everyone I've talked to has loved the idea of giving students, especially in the evening, some snacks, because everyone knows you're going down then at that point. And so that has been a great outreach program that has really caught a lot of attention. A couple other things you said, I would just like to follow up on the leadership program or digital badge. Sounds like a wonderful idea and opportunity for you and your team. So I would just maybe next month, I'd certainly like to hear a follow-up on the CART and what's happening with that and the snacks and what's happened with leadership. And I would just also add, when you talked about reaching out to your student government, is it the national organization for training I would just tell you that we did that as the board. We went to ACCT, which is the Association of Community Colleges, and actually during some of our retreats brought in some of their facilitators. And that really helped us, because we come in, we're elected, we don't really know our roles, and we have to learn on the go as well. And so I think that's also another great idea. I'll open it up to other board members, but good job. And we look forward to seeing what you do in the spring.
Thank you.
I have a few comments and observations, right? So I've been on the board now 5 years, and this is the first time that I'm hearing a report from student government that includes more than the activities, and so I really appreciate you taking that training to heart, right, where it said, like, you're more than just the activities that you put on. And so the fact that you all have kind of taken up some of these important issues that I know many people on campus care about, like transportation, for example, and figuring out ways that you can collaborate with professional staff on campus, and working with like PDAC, right, so the flags and these different initiatives that you're doing on behalf of the student body, I think speak volumes about your leadership, but also that there is value in that ASGA training that you all are receiving. The other thing that I do want to comment on is acknowledging Jody or Chair Pugh's comment about the energy that you all have, like in addition to your studies, still being able to do these things. And I think just kind of like the teamwork, the collaboration, those are things that I think will serve you all well in your careers going forward. And so I feel very inspired that these are skills that you're developing while you're at SFCC, because I think they will go a long way. So again, thank you for all you're doing, and it's very exciting to hear more than just your activities in student government. So thank you.
Same with me. And one of the things that I really got, I went to a lot of the presentations at our Congress in the fall, and one of the things when we talk about advocacy, there is no better advocate for the college than the students, and I think that that's very important. I know we're going to be learning a lot at a conference we're going to in Washington in a couple weeks, and I want to bring some of that back, because there are a lot of critical issues in front of Congress, a lot of critical issues in New Mexico that are really important to students. And I'd love to help make presentations and help you understand what some of those issues are and what role you might be able to play. And, it's not just going to Washington. Every member of Congress has representatives locally. And you can always make time. I don't want anyone to take time away from their school for that. but at the same time, I think that you could play a really role in it, and it's a very empowering thing to do, and also a wonderful thing to put on your resume, having actually worked with members of Congress and potentially getting bills passed. I know when I was in college, we successfully got a lot of bills passed, and were able to get a lot more money for my public school in New York than we were going to get if the students hadn't made the case.
Thank you.
Thank you. Member Gurman, did you want to say anything? I cannot see you on the screen, so if you don't, that's fine, but. Okay, all right. I'm not hearing anything from her. Is that, okay. All right, well, thank you very much, and it's wonderful to see you, and we hope to see you next month, too.
You will.
Keep up the good work, all of you. Okay, alrighty. So just a quick adjustment. I know you think we're keeping you here half the night, but we are not going to have a closed session this evening. So we'll move on to the president's report and then discuss some other business, do public comments, and we're done. So over, Margaret, are you doing the, Employee of the Month?
Yes.
Over to Margaret.
Thank you, Chair Pugh, members of the board, President Rowley. I'm here to tell you all about the Employee of the Month, and that's Jesus Saucedo in our Facilities and Operations area. Jesus was nominated by Melba Ramos, academic advisor in the School of Arts, Design, and Media Arts. And Melba says of Jesus, Jesus always has a joyful smile as he does his work around keeping our campus looking vibrant. He is always willing to lend a helping hand. He takes pride in his work to make sure his job is done with the best possible care. So congratulations, Jesus, and thank you so much, both Jesus and Melba. And next, I think that President Rowley is going to share a few points from her President's report.
Thank you, Margaret. I'll go ahead and come on camera, even though I probably shouldn't. Sorry I couldn't be there in person tonight. There is some sort of stomach bug that is running through everywhere, so beware.
We appreciate it. We appreciate you're there. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I knew you would be thrilled that I'm here, not there. Anyway, I want to just give a quick legislative update. Not much going on at this point, but there are a couple of bills that NMICC is tracking, and I just want to let you know what those are, and then give you a couple of highlights from the LFC's budget that was released late last week. The two bills that we're tracking right now, I think everyone's aware of the paid family medical leave, so we'll see how that shakes out. That's got two committee assignments now. It's a little bit, pretty much a little bit changed, but basically the same bill it was last year. And then also there's some anti-hazing legislation that is similar to what it was last year that's already been filed this year. But the one bill that we are paying more attention to right now is it's an amendment to the non-discrimination clause. And what this is for, it's to expand the definition for residency for students who are trying to get the lottery scholarship, the opportunity scholarship, and we're hoping the non-credit money that the LFC approved last year, the $20 million that we have a year for 3 years. And so what this would do is, instead of just making students eligible, allowing students to be eligible for the lottery and opportunity who graduated from high school in New Mexico or went to school in New Mexico, this would also include students who have taken 2 semesters of adult education, or students, or students who have filed New Mexico income taxes for 2 years. And so we're working with Somos Unidos to NMICC to work on this bill so that we can expand the opportunity scholarship and the lottery scholarship to immigrants. It's going to be a kind of a pretty much a quiet campaign because we're not trying to attract a lot of attention, but we think this would be an important benefit for other students in our community. The LFC's budget that was released late last week is pretty similar to the executive's budget, but there are a couple of differences. Both of them recommended a 4% compensation increase. The executive budget had 2% increase to the overall ING of all institutions, and the LFC budget was 2.9% to all of the in the overall budget to institutions. But there's a difference in that the LFC is doing something different, or proposing something at this point different right now, and that's that they are recommending, their language be in that bill, that the money that we get for performance measures, which is what the extra money that comes into the formula is doled out in performance measures, and they're asking that the performance measures be moved from 20% to 50% of that appropriation. I know this almost sounds like I'm speaking gibberish, but that's for retention. And so they're looking very carefully at our retention numbers from semester to semester, year to year, and seeing if we make improvement on those. They have not set a metric for retention that I'm aware of, but they probably will. And then that will determine how much of the extra money that's available that any college will get. So that is a new thing. I don't think anybody, what I have heard actually is that they don't expect the money to really make that much difference in anybody's appropriation, but they really wanted to send a message with the language. And so this is what's going to, we'll see more and more of this where we really are, going to be funded more in retention. And, I would say that we are anyway, because we only get reimbursed on courses where students completed the course with a grade. We used to get reimbursed where, if students had stayed in the class by the census date and then they could all drop out and we'd still get paid for them. But now it's the end of course completions that we get funded on. So that is significant. And then there's also some additional recommendation for dual credit, technology, cybersecurity, and a few healthcare loan repayment programs. So I'll have more detail as this shakes out. Nothing's really happened this week. They'll start having committee assignments maybe by sometime next week, and I'll keep you posted as those move on. That's really what I have to report right now outside of the lengthy report that we submit, but I'm happy to answer any questions if I can.
Thank you, President Rowley. Any questions for President Rowley? And thank you for that legislative update, and thank you for staying home. So that is a nasty virus, so thank you. Okay, all right, so on to
I have a question.
Oh, okay. Member Gurman, over to you.
You don't see my hand up, huh?
Yes, we do. I see.
I have a question from the report on the environmental technician training program. I heard from one constituent that, her son went through that program and then he still can't find the listing of where the jobs are for the EPA, environment technician. So is there some kind of follow-up about job placement?
Thank you, Board Member Gurman. Chris Swedeen is here, and she is going to respond to that.
Thank you for the question. Is this turned on?
I don't know.
Closer. Try it now.
Thank you for the question.
Do you want this one instead?
It's red, so I have to turn some buttons.
I can hear you.
Sorry.
Oh, you can hear it? Okay.
I can.
Here, use this
I
one.
was.
Be my guest. We'll just pass it around.
Board Member Gurman and Board Members President Raleigh, thank you for the question. Of course, we're always very excited to talk about this program because it's a premier program of the college that trains people to be environmental technicians after 5 weeks, 40 hours a week. So it's very intense. And yes, there's a lot of follow-up. So Janet Curley, who runs the program, meets individually with each student in regular intervals after they end the class. We also work with them on their resumes. We talk to employers on their behalf. We write letters of recommendation. We have a couple of students who are very choosy about the sorts of employment that they might engage in. And so we are working with them to help broaden their idea of what might be an interesting entry-level position and how one might grow from that experience and earn more money going forward. But we have about 80% placement in employment. So we have a number of students who've gotten very good jobs just in the last couple of weeks. In addition, any person who has taken Janet's classes over time will be able to get jobs with FEMA immediately. The California cleanup situation is going to last for years. So any student who is interested in employment, we're happy to help them. And if that particular student would like to contact our office, we'll be very happy to talk to them again and see what else we might be able to do to help them. We also have another cohort starting in April. So if you know any people that are interested in this work, please refer them to us. There's an ad, a 2-page ad in the current continuing education catalog with all the contact information of how to get a hold of us so that you can apply.
All right, thank you. Member Gurman, any other questions?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Follow-up.
A follow-up, okay.
I I think along those lines, and this came up at the legislative breakfast, of seeing what some of the job placement is for the different programs that are being offered out of CT, maybe less so CE. But I think it would be helpful to have a similar presentation to what Ms. Tort did with regard to what the enrollment is in these different courses or programs, what the job placement is, how much people are earning, to help us get a better sense of what workforce training outside of the academic programs is doing here at SFCC, because we really haven't seen anything like that to date that I'm aware of.
The big picture, I think you and I were kind of talking about that to help us understand. Yeah.
We'd be very happy to do that. In addition, just so you're aware, we are kind of in the nascent stages of gathering data. So the current workforce appropriation has come with a number of reporting requirements, which we haven't had in the past. We are working very closely with OPI, and we are conducting entry surveys for all the students taking those classes right now, being paid for through workforce development, so that we can begin the tracking process. And we're going to be working on putting together a survey, reaching out to students of the past, particularly fiber optic technician students, to see what kind of employment they have secured. So, but I'd be very happy to make a presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That'd be great.
All right, any other questions? All right. Thank you, President Rowley, and everyone else. Thank you. Okay, Section 10, Board Reports, Discussions, Other Business. The only other business I have is we did come out of the retreat, and we're going to have enrollment reports on March and September. So I just wanted to say that. Next meeting, it'd be nice to get kind of a leave policy update on where we're at with changing that. And we, I think before then, we should hear about the Bolton study. Okay, any other things from the rest of the members under board discussion?
I have stuff for the Finance Committee. I'm working with Audrey, the Finance team, and Becky to schedule our Finance Committee meeting. So at the retreat, we talked about a couple of topics before we are due for a vote on our next budget. And so the first topic up for discussion on budget is going to be a deeper dive into CE, CT, and Mosaica. And so I need the board members to send me questions directly. Please don't email them to all of the board members. And I will float those to the finance team and President Rowley so that they can have those ready for our next finance meeting, so our first finance meeting of the year. The other topics up for discussion are going to be compensation, CHESS, program variances, so funding and program variances from 23-24 to 24-25, so that we understand what changes were made, right? So we don't do those deep dives typically into the budget in terms of like how programs are funded, and so we want to take that up this year and hopefully look to see what changes were made between those two fiscal years, and then of course anticipate, or ask questions about what changes may be coming up for the new budget. So those are items that I need board members to send me questions about. I will send these topics to you just so you know what we're going to be discussing in those finance committee meetings, and the idea is to have these done before April, so that we have all the information we need to vote on the budget. Any questions?
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any
It's an
other
ambitious agenda.
Yes, it is ambitious. Any other members with anything?
I've been having some conversations with Congress member Hernandez Ledger, and they seem excited that we're coming to Washington and looking forward to seeing us there. So,
all right, thank you, Zuby. Zuby is setting up that appointment.
Thank you.
So, yes, thank you. Okay, Member Gurman, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Do we need to set up appointments with our delegates in DC? I thought
we already have that covered. There's only the one, so we'll get the schedule soon.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
No. We don't have a work session next in
No,
February.
and I'll talk about that under the announcement of the next board meeting. Okay. All right, so public comments. We don't have any public comments. Okay, and we actually canceled the closed session. So announcement of the next board meeting was good lead in, Member Gurman. So next board meeting, or the work session meeting in February, actually most of the board will be en route traveling. So we're gonna cancel that one. And instead, on the governing board meeting on February 26th, we're just gonna have it from 1 to 5. So for that particular day, we're back to our 4-hour meeting. And with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Do I need a motion?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Second?
Who wants to stay all night?
Are you going to abstain? No. Second. Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Adjourned.
Bye.
We wanted to be here all